Hello and welcome to The Big Picture. How we access the internet and the various applications in future is now under question. The debate raging across the country now and being watched across the world keenly is on the issue of net neutrality. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India has in the meanwhile come out with a consultation paper on the regulatory framework for what's known as over-the-top or OTT services. Even as this paper is being scrutinized and many questions raised in it is being looked into, the debate has become furious after some telecom companies like Airtel and Reliance and websites like Google and Facebook are said to be already violating the idea of net neutrality. Today we will discuss all the intricacies of this issue, which is said will have a long-standing impact on the way we use the internet, mobile and its various applications, and what will be the implications of it. To discuss this, I have with me TV Ramachandran, former Director, Cellular Operators Association of India, Ravi Visveswarayan, Sharada Prasad, Independent Telecom Consultant, Pavan Duggal, a lawyer specializing in IT laws, and Nikhil Pahwa, editor MediaNama.com. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Ramachandran, is there a need for regulation?
Please. I would like to first state that this TRI consultation paper is only posing questions for debate, for discussion, for responses from the public, from all stakeholders, and then it is very incorrect. Some wrong information, misinformation, misunderstanding is going around that as if there is already a decision in place and nothing has happened. We are
nothing has happened. I have
debates and
yes, Mr. Ramachandran, I have very clearly said questions have been raised in the paper.
Yeah, but there are a lot of wrong issues also being talked about, that as if Airtel and some other companies have violated the norms already. There are no norms.
There are no norms.
And nobody has violated. In fact, first and foremost from ASSOCHAM, I would like to first state, I am currently the chairman of the ASSOCHAM National Telecoms Council, and we just finished a meeting also. We are all fully in favor of net neutrality, but it is being misrepresented in the public by certain vested interests. Actually, there are three parties involved in this debate. One is the consumer, who is non-commercial, you and me as a net user.
Right.
The second is a telco, who is 100% commercial, who is in business. And he has invested in infrastructure, he is paying taxes to the government, he is paying license fees, he is paying spectrum usage charges, he is doing all that, maintaining quality of service. That is one second category. Third category are the content providers and some people like that application who are now raising all these questions. My point is, these content providers are also commercial. They are commercial entities. They are not the end user. They are not the netizen. They are using the net for business. Now, for them to say they are not paying any charges, but they want that if the costs are going up, they say increase the data charges for the end user. We don't want to increase data charges. No charge has been increased. In fact, on the other hand, this platform which is being proposed by one operator is actually offering free service for those who come on that. The end user is benefiting, and that is being willingly bought in by some other content providers. So
you're talking of the Airtel.
In fact, the people of India who have very low purchasing power are actually, yes, Airtel. That's going to benefit the consumer. It's going to benefit competition. New entrants will find that very healthy for them to enter the market with very little cost and to take on the big players. So it's actually pro-competitive, and that's been found by even the FCC. The FCC, which is being quoted, people are misquoting. I read out today in our meeting, FCC has actually said this can be very consumer beneficial and it will be pro-competition. The way it is structured.
So you don't think that a regulation...
A lot of awareness and education.
Mr. Ramachandran, so you don't think a regulation is necessary at this point of time?
Yes. I'm not going to conclude because it will be disrespect to the authority. That is we are going to debate in the open house.
Okay, this is part of the debate. This is part of that debate, Mr. Ramachandran.
Yeah, part of the debate.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you. My personal opinion is there should be no regulation. It should be hands-off regulation, minimum oversight to ensure level playing field. What is important is all players must have level playing field. Then only you have healthy competition. But if one group of players don't pay taxes to the government, don't have security obligations, don't have any quality of service obligations, and the same services, messenger or voice or data, is being provided by another set of people who are subject to all that, then you have a clear violation of the playing field.
Okay, I think you have made a point. I think you have made a point.
I'm okay.
I think you have made a point, Mr. Ramachandran. Nikhil, how will you react to this?
Thank you. So Mr. Ramachandran has made several points, so I'll have to address them one by one. Firstly, when he says vested interest, I think that he's disrespecting the outrage from the public regarding this consultation paper. There are people like me, people like your viewers who've gotten involved.
You are a content provider, isn't it?
I'm not a content provider.
And that's what he's trying to, there are certain content providers who are creating.
I am on a sabbatical from my publication, and I and 50 other volunteers from across this country have gotten together to create awareness about
on the sabbatical
this consultation paper.
On sabbatical is different, but you are one of the content providers.
I am a content
whom he is
provider.
talking about.
I am content provider, but I have. This is not about me being a content provider. I'd like to make that very, very clear.
Okay.
I'm here as a volunteer from the Save the Internet .in campaign, and there are many of us there who have left what they're doing because they're worried about what is going on in this.
Okay, now can you answer some of the questions?
I'm answering, but first, so I take great offense to being called a vested interest over here. Firstly, secondly, Mr. Ramachandran talked about about it being a commercial issue with some companies, internet companies essentially not making any payments to telecom operators. I think there is a factual issue which he's ignoring over here, which is that internet companies pay for bandwidth to their servers, and from they buy servers, or they lease out servers from internet service providers. It is consumers who are also paying to access these services.
Right.
Through this access pipe, which the government of India has licensed to telecom operators.
Right.
They don't own that property.
Right.
And therefore, through that access gateway, what we're asking for is that there should be no discrimination. Why should the content provider, or why should the telecom operator impact consumer choice by changing, by charging differently for different sites?
Nikhil, one second. One second.
Please allow me to finish.
No, I'll allow you to finish. Because I think most of the people don't understand this.
Okay, let me explain what neutrality is.
No, when you're saying that, why should they discriminate? What kind of discrimination are you talking about?
So net neutrality means that the network must remain neutral, in which case it should not discriminate or decide between one side or another in terms of speed of access. So they should not slow down one side or speed up one side.
Is that the concern? Is that the fear?
So that's one of the things, and it's a part of the TRAI consultation paper. Another part of the consultation paper is the TRAI is asking whether they should be allowed to control the price of a service or not, right? And that is also an aspect of net neutrality, which everyone who's speaking for telecom operators is trying to obfuscate by saying that cost won't impact consumer choice in terms of discrimination, right? So right now we have a free.
Can you give an example?
So very simple. If Flipkart is available for free and a Snapdeal is not, right? So today when as a user I'm accessing a service, I am not going to a particular site thinking, okay, I'll be paying, let's say, 3 rupees per MB to access this, versus I'll be paying 2 rupees per MB to access another site, versus I'll be paying no money to access a third site. Everyone has a level playing field there.
As far as the ordinary user is concerned.
As far as the ordinary, so today as a user, I don't think about these things.
Absolutely.
I'm being forced to think about these things with this. And what something like an Airtel Zero does, or even Facebook's internet.org, is that it makes a small collection, or even if it's 1,000 sites, right, available for free. What about the rest of the web?
Rest of the million sites.
Million sites. So that ability to, go and experience different services, that gets restricted. How does it, Dipender Goyal, the founder of Zomato, an Indian company which is now in 23 countries, he said a few days ago that he could not have been able to launch Zomato if his competition was on something like Airtel Zero. Even though he has the money to be on an Airtel Zero, he is speaking out against it because we want all startups in this country to get the same opportunity. Another issue which I think everyone forgets about this TRAI consultation paper is that it is effectively bringing in licensing for internet companies into the picture. So they've asked, should we have a separate license for WhatsApp, Viber, Facebook, Ola, which are all communication apps. I think Facebook is also being seen as a social networking app. Or should we also have a license for all internet companies, which would include even a Zomato, it would include a Flipkart, it would include a Snapdeal. So should every internet company have to buy a license? What this licensing regime does, and indeed what the situation of allowing violation of net neutrality does, is that an internet company or a startup will have to go to either the government to ask for a license to be able to operate in India, or it will have to go to a telecom operator and say, can you make my service available on Airtel Zero or whatever?
This is, one second, let me.
It's not fair. I mean,
Mr. Ramachandran,
things are being said here.
No, Mr. Ramachandran,
exactly
I'll come.
I started out.
No, Mr. Ramachandran.
By saying misrepresentation, same thing is happening.
No, Mr. Ramachandran, I'll come back. I'll come back to you. Let him finish. But Nikhil, just one small.
Okay, please.
Thanks. One small clarification. What you're talking is about something like how we are using the TV connection which we get today from, say.
Not at all. In fact,
is it something like now Tata Sky and all others which are there on the DTH platform, they decide which channels will be there on their platform?
Exactly.
Is that something like that?
Because they have a carriage fee involved and they choose. I mean, for so many years, I'm for such a long time, there are channels who've not been allowed onto specific DTH operators. Do you want the internet to be like that? And that's something which you and I and your users need to think about.
Okay. I think
you want that internet to be like TV.
Okay. Mr. Ramachandran, do you want to come in very quickly before I go to others? Very quickly, sir.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. I'm very quickly. There is absolutely nothing of that sort. This is all pure figment.
Nothing of what sort? Nothing of what sort?
The paper says it, Mr. Ramachandran.
One second.
The TRI paper says
cost. See, just listen to me. I'm answering it.
Yeah.
Today, please. You're making unfair statements about TRA also. I don't want to get into that.
I have not said anything about TRA.
All sites are accessible to all except the legally impermissible one. What the government says no to, we don't allow. But everything else is accessible at the same standard data charge. Now, if
that is the case, what is Mr. Ramachandran, if that is the case, what is the controversy about?
Dialing. There is no controversy. They are creating a controversy which is obfuscating facts.
Not at all.
Toll-free dialing. You're getting toll-free service for marketing of certain products. This is exactly that. And you know what they are wanting to do is do something like ticketless travel on train. There is a train running which is legal and permissible. And there are legitimate passengers, customers waiting. But some people want to ride ticketless. That is what is happening.
Okay. Ravi, the point raised by Mr. Ramachandran is that there has to be a level playing field. You think this level playing field can be established in the context in which we are in now?
Well, it's difficult to establish a level playing field, but actually what I really want to say is that it is technologically impossible to build a datacom network which implements net neutrality. I say this as a datacom engineer who's designed networks for the last 30 years, that you cannot have a packet switched network which will treat every bit of data the same. So we can have all these discussions in TV studios and TRA can pass whatever regulations and they can put in 5 lakh things, but building such a network which treats every bit of data the same is impossible. No. And I don't think...
No. As of now, you don't see that it's not there?
No, it isn't.
As of now, as we are using as ordinary users,
it is not,
you are saying that there is no
net has never been equal. It is there in the internet architecture that every packet that you send actually has a priority on a list of 1 to 8. And this is done automatically, okay?
Absolutely.
There are 8 levels. I'll need to do it. Highest prioritization of 8 and 7 is given to data which controls the network for network monitoring.
Who controls it?
It's done automatically. It's there in the internet architecture. And if I have to explain packet switching, which is actually based on the nearest analogy is the post office. Okay, lower than network monitoring comes online gaming.
Yeah.
A little lower than priority is given to voice over internet protocol because voice can have at most can bear a time lag of 20 milliseconds. Lower priority than voice over internet than voice is video streaming because video streaming can bear up to 100 milliseconds. Lower than that are email, other applications. Much lower than that are software downloads or movie downloads. So prioritization is built into the nature of the internet. You cannot treat, the idea of, Net neutrality was propounded by a law professor at Columbia University called Tim Wu, who really had no understanding of technology at all. In fact, there is not one single telecom engineer who will tell you that you can build a network which will implement data neutrality, network neutrality. It's technologically impossible because...
Okay.
So we can have all the discussions you want.
No, we'll come back to it.
I fully agree with that.
You cannot build such a network.
It's a 100% right statement.
Okay. Pavan?
Legally, Girish, I 100% endorse that. It's absolutely
okay, Mr. Ramachandran, I'll come back to you.
Just now.
Pavan, you know, now technologically he says that net neutrality is not possible. Legally, what is the situation?
Well, legally, these are early days yet. The fact still remains that a lot of work needs to be done on the legal policy and regulatory issues pertaining to net neutrality. So any kind of jumping the gun is clearly not in the right sequence of things. And we have to quickly realize that network neutrality, India still doesn't have a definition of what's network neutrality.
Does the world have
network neutrality?
Does the world have a definition?
Yes, it does. And
one second. Let him finish. Ravi, let him finish.
Of network neutrality.
Ravi, let him finish. I'll come to you.
I mean, I think any of the actors have never even understood it.
No, let him finish.
I think, different countries have tried to adopt and tried to define it differently. But now in the Indian context, we'll have to quickly realize that we cannot
Pavan, are you saying that in other countries this has been defined?
This has been
it has been defined, but nobody... Sure.
Yeah, one second,
but there's no one.
No, Ravi, let him finish.
Yeah, sure.
Please.
But there's no one universal definition per se.
No, there is.
Each country to its own. You can't transpose the American experience and come and say this is going to work in India. It would not. However, some fundamental principles are dramatically just the same. But in this context, these are very early days yet when a consultation paper has been sought to be done. However, I'm slightly concerned with the direction from where the consultation paper is coming.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, you can draft a consultation paper and you can ask questions, but if the questions are asked in a manner to get a particular kind of a response, that is one particular area that would require more consideration. But more significant in this entire debate is a fundamental issue that's missing all of us. The fundamental issue is, how are you going to effectively regulate, legally speaking, disruptive technologies like over-the-top applications, a majority of whom do not have physical offices located within the territorial boundaries of your own countries. And it's here that issues pertaining to internet jurisdiction are going to come across. So the question arises is, where is the question of trying to restrict consumer choices, consumers' online freedoms, and other consumers' online liberties under the ground that, okay, if you have the money, pay me the money and I will give you additional service. But that additional preferential service is going to be at the cost of the teeming millions of Indians who are users of the mobile web, and none of them will be willing to pay more money than what is actually legally required from them.
Okay. Mr. Ramachandran, one of the arguments which people like you are making, or what I have been reading, is about that we will have to pay for these things. These are things which have to be paid for at some point of time or other. India is still doesn't have the kind of internet penetration which other countries have. So you people, the cellular operators, the telecom operators have to invest a lot of money, much more money into this. So we need to charge for these kind of services. Is that the argument? And will that argument hold water?
Yeah, you raised a very good point. I was going to come to that if time permitted it. See, actually, the definition of net neutrality which prevails in the West may not apply here, and that's what the regulator has to find out. What is most appropriate for our country, for our requirements? Because in this country, unlike there, even 40% of the population does not have basic voice connectivity. Only 60%. You may have 900 million subscribers, but only 600 million of them are unique subscribers. So actually you have a long way to go even provide basic voice connectivity. Data connectivity is only 20%. So what do you do? I mean, the standard definition of net neutrality will not be suitable because we are such a price sensitive market. People cannot have their charges increased. It can't support it, the market. So what we need to examine is what is appropriate for us, what is important for India. Should we ask for data tariffs to be increased just for a definition of net neutrality which prevails in the West, and thereby make the haves subsidized by the have-nots? I like to use a favorite example. It's like having the Prithviraj Kapoor resident who likes Netflix and YouTube and all that. His service is subsidized by the people in the semi-urban and rural areas who don't even have basic data connectivity, maybe only voice connectivity. So that is very wrong for India. So it is anti-consumer, anti-national telecom policy requirement. I think that's not the way to go forward. We need to architecture our own solution, and TRI consultation has to complete. We have to give the proper inputs for that and come up with a jointly with a good solution. I think that's what I would see, which is level playing field. We cannot have ticketless travel running in telecom.
How is it ticketless travel? Nikhil, is it ticketless travel?
I'm just tired of all of these analogies that keep coming up.
Mr. Ramachandran, let me get another side of it. Let me get another side of it.
This ticketless is a false analogy, and I've already debunked it. So I don't know why it keeps coming up again.
No. I'm asking Nikhil here. I'm asking Nikhil here.
These people don't pay any taxes.
No, Mr. Nikhil, they also
no taxes,
no taxes, but they also pay for.
Had said a lot. Could we also get a chance?
They also pay for the servers. Yes, Mr. S. Nikhil.
They don't pay anything.
They pay for servers. They pay for bandwidth. I'm running the site. I pay for servers. I pay for bandwidth. Who is not paying? It's just that telecom operators don't just want to do double dipping. They want to do triple dipping and basically get double revenue from people like us who are running businesses. Do you want startups in India to move to markets which are freer? Just because you want to make sure that you make more money as a telecom operator? Telecom operators are profitable. They've even in the auctions, are you trying to tell me that they went in without a viable business model? Telecom operators have been saying for years that they're going to die. They are profitable.
Nikhil, I don't know what you know about the spectrum or auctions.
Their data revenues are actually growing year on year. Their voice revenues are growing. So what more do you want? You're just losing control. You're creating an environment where you want to do paid prioritization for which site is being accessed.
No. And effectively, Mr. Ramachandran, let him have his say. He's also, as you said,
I did not interrupt Mr. Ramachandran.
As you said, Mr. Ramachandran, as you said, there are three players in this. He's one of the players. Let him have his say.
I did not interrupt Mr. Ramachandran. I would expect
Mr. Ramachandran, let him have his say. Let him have his say. Yeah,
quick, finish. Wrong data. You can't
it is. Let people decide whether it's wrong or not, Mr. Ramachandran. Let him have his say. Finally, the tribe will decide what is wrong and what is right. Yes, very quickly, Nikhil.
Do you know, Mr. Girish,
Airtel CEO Gopal Vittal in fact, may I please speak, Mr.
Ramachandran? Sir, please let him also have a say. Let him also have a say.
Airtel CEO Gopal Vittal said in February on the financial results conference call, he said, there is no evidence that there is cannibalization of voice revenues from any mobile internet revenues. He said it himself. So I don't understand what this is about. If you want to contradict your own CEOs, then that's fine. But please be truthful about the fact that these companies are profitable, they are making money, their data revenues are doubling. Go and see the financial reports. Please don't misrepresent it.
Okay. Really? Ravi?
See, what I'm saying is, what is the point of passing laws and regulations which you can never enforce?
Ravi, my question is this. Yes. My question is this. Yes. My question is, considering all the technological limitations,
yes.
How is it that we can ensure that the ordinary consumer doesn't have to face a kind of a monopoly situation where a consumer is forced to go to a particular operator because he is offering certain things and certain other things like Nikhil Pahwa's website I want to access, I am not able to access. Can that kind of a situation be avoided?
Let me say, even now, he was giving the example of Airtel Zero, where let's say Flipkart, it's gone off Airtel Zero, but let's say we compare Flipkart and Amazon. Now, the way the internet is, suppose I'm doing a transaction on Flipkart now, and 5 minutes later, if I do two transactions, these transactions will be processed very differently. Internet operates on best effort basis. It doesn't operate on a quality of service basis. Okay, packets travel in different ways. Packets have different prioritization. So, let's say Airtel cannot say that...
As an ordinary user, one second.
Cannot say that, let's say both of us are doing a transaction simultaneously on Flipkart. They will be processed at different rates.
At different rates?
At different rates, at different times.
Speeds.
They'll be processed at different speeds because packets travel in different ways. The packets don't travel in a straight line from A to B. They go by what is called a least effort. So you might go through in 10 milliseconds, in 100 milliseconds. I might take 1 second to go through.
No, but that's a natural thing.
Yeah, it's a natural thing. So where you
what
can,
we are,
there is no
what we are talking about.
Guarantee equality, but it cannot guarantee equality of two transactions.
Ravi, 1 second.
From Flipkart, how can it guarantee?
1 second, Ravi.
You know, how can it guarantee?
Let me answer. Let me ask a question, please.
Certainly.
What I am saying is, if what you're talking is something which is happening naturally because of whatever technology. Now, what we are discussing is that something which can be controlled because of this.
It cannot.
Right,
I'm
Nikhil,
saying
if I'm not wrong.
Neutrality is a utopian concept which has no basis in technological
One
reality.
second.
See, all we are saying is, for commercial reasons, don't discriminate between how users like me access the internet.
That is fine. That is for Competition Commission of India to examine.
Or startups. But the problem is that the TRAI paper is asking exactly these same questions.
Yes,
they want to change the way we use the internet forever because of their commercial reasons.
Okay.
We don't want
Would you agree with that, Pavan?
Well, I think the questions...
Going by the TRAI consultation paper and the questions they have raised?
Well, the way in which the questions are drafted actually leaves one thinking as to which direction are they coming from. That's one. And I think, historically speaking, there's a troubling trend. 24th of March 2015, Supreme Court hands out a fantastic victory for online free speech in the 66A judgment. 3 days later, by another route, the TRA comes up with this consultation paper. So whatever online liberties you gathered that the Supreme Court has won for you, by an indirect way, the said liberties are being sought to be actually potentially impacted in one way or the other. Yes. And I have to ask you one question. In case if we want to do in this manner what we do, the question is, will India be able to achieve and implement the success of its Digital India program? The answer is a crystal clear no. Because the Digital India program wants to empower Indians, wants to make India into a knowledge economy by 2018. If you are going to make discriminatory approaches on internet platforms, that's going to effectively mean that you're going to actually strike a death knell into the mobile web, which is one of the growth engines of the Indian economy. So I think all these issues require detailed consideration. Let's not hurry it out. The good thing is that the TRAI is only a recommendatory body. Let them come up with the recommendations, but without examining the broader public interest, you cannot proceed forward.
Okay.
And that's the most significant issue.
If I can come in.
One second. Mr. Ramachandran. Mr. Ramachandran, would you... what do you have to say to what Pavan is saying? That, this is something which could even impact the Digital India program, and if all these things are being done for commercial considerations, what happens to the ordinary user?
I agree with that. I agree with it in one side that it could impair the Digital India program, but that will happen if they follow the what the view is being quoted of net neutrality and what they want of the Airtel platform. No, that is completely misrepresentation. It's the other way around. Like I said, that consumers benefit from what I am saying, and that is sought to be stopped by the other side.
Consumers
content providers want the benefit of the consumers to stop, and that will go against digital empowerment of the end user.
By taking money from people, you are actually improving their experience on some sites versus others. Consumer choice is being distorted by these approaches.
It's automatic. You can't do it.
I know, but I'm saying
what is automatic we are not discussing. We are discussing about what is...
discrimination is there, but there's no way you can stop it. There's no way you can stop the discrimination.
That is not done by any...
There's no way you can detect the discrimination. There's no way you can stop it.
Okay, that's your point of view. That's a technological point of view.
But if you're never able to implement a law that you're passed, how will you ever...
But there is a case, right? There was a case where Netflix, which is a video streaming service in the US, was actually... The experience was degraded by Comcast while they were negotiating with Netflix for these things.
Yes.
Sorry, Nikhil. Sorry, Ravi. We are completely run out of time. Ravi, we are completely run out of time. You can have a personal discussion later. We are completely run out of time. From the discussion today, it's quite evident that this is an issue which will require much more debate before any clarity comes into it. Hopefully, there will be much more debates, and we'll wait and watch what kind of a recommendation TRAI will come out with. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.